Sri Radheshyam. So everything is, in the material level, everything is under the three gunas. Sattva is the mode of goodness, natural goodness. Rajas is natural passion, and then tamas is ignorant. And this is how Vedas and Puranic traditions explain this material reality works. Everything is divided on these three gunas. And same way when we approach the spirit, that also can be colored by all these three gunas. And then only that sattvic, that natural goodness, is where I can actually transcend the material energy. So example, if one approach the spiritual platform, one approach it through the tamas. So one dimension is where we focus on now, is that one doesn't really see the distinction between the different spiritual paths. One sees that everything is same, as long as it's somehow metaphysical or mystical or something, and we see that basically all the roads lead to the same goal. So there's no clear distinction on that. And on the upper level, on the Sanatan level, where the Uttama Adhikari is someone who is very advanced, they see the spirit in everything, which means that that kind of person sees everything as a Brahman, as a spiritual energy, or everyone as like a small unit of consciousness. They still can differentiate. They can still differentiate, of course, that between the spirit and matter. So that's crucial thing. That's important thing. They can differentiate. They can see the action that is happening on tamas, rajas, or sattva, but there is spirit behind. So they don't differentiate, because they can access someone's soul, so to speak. They can see through this material energy. And then on this tamasic level, on the mode of ignorance, one is not separating. One cannot see that spirit, but one is moving through this ignorance, either through the good faith or sentiment or just good old confusion. One cannot see that difference between the different spiritual paths or different actions. Somehow everything is like a chaotic, in that sense, that one cannot see that spirit behind. And then that kind of situations, one is gravitating more to the sentiment, that if it feels good, it has to be good, which is not true. And those who are between, they have to separate, because when one is between, where the most of the people are, one have to create that difference between the positive and negative action. One have to create the difference between the tamasic and sattvic action. So there is, because one is still entangled, controlled by the material energy, and you cannot just transcend it by deciding that everything is one. That's just philosophical. That's not practical. I can say that, we are all spirit, we are all one, but that doesn't change the reality, how I actually experience things. So that kind of person have to, in order to progress, that kind of person has to separate. There's differences between the male and female consciousness, and by understanding this difference, one can move more towards the sattva. There's differences between the homosexual and heterosexual relationships, how they affect the consciousness. There's differences between if you eat meat or you are vegetarian. They affect different ways to the consciousness. And are you progressing with a pure way, without using the substances, or are you moving forward so that you take shelter of some drugs or alcohol same time? These all affect the consciousness, conditioned consciousness. These things don't touch the soul, but they affect the consciousness when one is conditioned state. So in order to progress on the spiritual path, one have to be able to discriminate. There has to be that ability to discriminate, and you can see that every spiritual path, if it's done properly, you can see that there is these do's and don'ts. what one shouldn't do and what one should do. And like it's more like you can say the more modern idea, this kind of that we know the right answer, that everything is one or everyone is a spiritual soul, and then we are artificially try to put ourselves on that level. So we are here and we try to jump on the top level, which means that in both cases you see that everything is part of the same reality. Other is actually seeing the spirit, and other is just confused. And you can see that modern pseudo-spirituality is quite a bit like that we artificially try to build some connection and unity, and we reject this idea of discriminating things based on the qualities of the object and how the or qualities of the action and how it affects the consciousness. And because of this, we actually mix these spiritual ideas or sattvic ideas with the mode of ignorance, and then we get this Kaitava Dharma, which is this kind of pseudo-spirituality. So one have to be able, in order to progress, one have to be able to separate first, and that's why there is these proper spiritual paths, because they teach one to separate things proper way. That's why there's the scriptures. That's why there's the guru. That's why there's these disciplic successors, because they teach that gradual process. Okay, one cannot just jump from that complete ignorance to actual understanding, that divya prakash, that kind of divine revelation, or atma prakash, self-realization. You cannot do it. You can try, but the end result is this, that people are moving with the sentiment. We can see how much there is all this nonsense going on the so-called spiritual circles. Because of this confusion, people are supporting things that are actually degrading the consciousness, and they are endorsing this stuff and encouraging the others to do. There's all kind of like a substance abuse ceremonies going on, and supporting obstructing the progress of living being in the womb by killing it into the womb and these kind of things. And these all affect the consciousness. They color the consciousness with the tamas and rajas, and when that happens, even one is studying the yoga and reading the books and trying to do this and that meditation, it gets distorted. So it's important. Someone says some point that that there's two kind of people in the world. There's the wise and fools, and wise don't create that discrimination based on religions, based on gender, based on other things like that. And then there's fools, and fools are creating the discrimination. But that's not really true. If you understand it from the yoga perspective, the wise are those who understand their level of consciousness. So that discrimination is necessary, or that discernment is necessary in order to want to progress. Sri Radhe Shyam.